Santa Fe. Had a problem with the EPB. It jammed on in a car park. I got it recovered, but what I later found out is if you can unscrew, let's see it, this part here, that disengages the electronic brake. It's just 2 Phillips screws. So if you're ever stuck, you can get pop the boot and jack the wheels up, take the wheel off. There's a little screwdriver in the set. Just take this out and it disengages the brake, and then you can get moving. The problem being is the electronic parking brake assembly. There's the new one here. There's a part code. I got this on Alibaba, sent from China for about €200, which is about €500 less than getting it in an auto parts shop. So now I'm just going to take the brakes, take the brackets off. You can get pretty good access to it from underneath once you take the spare wheel off. Take the spare wheel off, you've got these bolts here, 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 electronic connection here. Just unplug this and then take the wiring loom out and get the brake cable fed through this gap. And yeah, let's see how it goes. So I've just finished changing this electronic parking brake assembly for my 2014 Santa Fe. It was not particularly easy, but it is doable. I've seen a lot of videos stripping down the full suspension and taking the drive shafts out, but I managed to do it without doing that. If you just drop the sway bar, I've got some videos, try to guide through it. There's not a lot on YouTube detailing this, but I put some videos together, make it easier for any of you that have experienced the same as me, where the auto hold jams on, car can't move. We happened to us in an underground parking, middle of the night. Had to get it recovered. I didn't know what was wrong, but later found out you could take the wheels off, and it's just one little screw to disengage the brake. And with the in-car equipment here, there's a little screwdriver that you could use to do it. So if you're stuck and you're quite handy, then I would recommend doing that and save you the misfortune of having to get towed and waiting around for hours. So yeah, so it's now done. I've engaged the brake. Everything is working as it should be. There's no alarms. As you can see, the electronic parking brake alarm is now gone. So yeah, put the videos on now so you can have a wee look and see how I done it. It's not easy and took me about maybe 4.5 hours in total. But yeah, it is doable. Finally got it off. What I done was drop the sway bar, taking these 2 bolts off here, and then undoing the drop link here. Just gives you that room to manoeuvre. And what I ended up doing was undoing the bracket, taking a little bit of wiggle space, and then I took these 10mm bolts off here and took the parking brake assembly off and pulled it out of the front here, and then fed the cable through. So now I've slid the new bracket on in position, and I'll feed the cable through and the parking brake assembly and mount it on top. I've seen a couple of videos saying that you strip out all the drive shaft and drop the arms and all that good stuff, but there was another one saying that you could get away with just dropping the sway bar, but dropping the sway bar means that you have to take this bracket off, which is very awkward to get these 10mm, but it is doable if you don't want to strip everything down. So let's see how the assembly goes back on. So it goes in relatively easy. You just need to remember the routing of the handbrake cable, but I've got it all in place. The brackets are where they should be. So now I just need to get the 10mm back on there and tighten them to hold the assembly onto the bracket, and then get the bracket bolted back on. Then work out from there, tighten the brackets for the cable, and then attach the cable to the actual shoes inside the brake drums. So that's the next stage. It's all in place, just need to get it all tightened back up. That's it now mounted and tightened. It was a lot easier going in than it was coming out. Putting that bracket on first, not tightened, just loose. Feeding up the parking assembly and then getting the cables in place. It's worth taking note of the route of the cables because it was a little bit tricky getting it back in place. Then just worked from the centre out, tightened all up the 10 mils here. These were quite awkward, but once they were on, managed to get them down quick with finger tight and then just a little bit with a spanner, and it was easy. And then once those were on, then secured these 12 mils and then fed the cable through. So once you've got the cable through, you've got these 10 mils to tighten at the back of this plate here. Hook the new cable on with the screws and then pop the little bracket down, and that's you. Then you've got to get the sway bar back on, so I recommend loosely doing these bolts here, just very loosely, and then popping the drop rod through. Tighten up the drop rods. Once the drop rods are through and tight, then come down and tighten these up. And there you have it. So now we need to turn the ignition on and see if it needs any alarms resetting or if it does it itself.